Welcome to qnawire.
We want to calculate what is going to be the empirical formula of a compound with the following composition in mass of the compounds of the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So, in 100 grams of sample, the mass of each of these compounds would be 39.9 grams, 6.7 grams, and 53.4 grams. The next step is that we're going to convert each of them into amount of mole. We're going to do this by dividing by the atomic weight of each of them. For carbon, the atomic weight is going to be equal to 12.01 grams per mole. For hydrogen, is going to be equal to 1.008 grams per mole. And for oxygen, is going to be equal to 15.99, well, 99.94 grams per mole, just to be extra accurate. So, well, when we divide these quantities by each of the amounts of moles, so for example, 39.9 divided by 12.01, we're going to get the amount of mole, which is going to be 3.32 moles. Of hydrogen, we're going to have 6.65, and of oxygen, we're going to have 3.34 moles. If we round it up to the closest significant figure, we're going to see that the ratio is going to be 1 to 1. So the empirical formula for this compound would be carbon H2O. Empirical formula. If this was the correct formula, then the total mass of the compound would be 12 plus 16 plus 2, which corresponds to a molar mass of 30 grams per mole. So now in the second question, well, in this case, question 3, if the molar mass of the true compound found in question 2 was found to be 60 grams per mole, then what would be the empirical formula, the molecular formula? In this case, we need to multiply only by 2. So the molecular formula would be C2H4O2. And now for the last question, for question 4, we're told that a substance has 17.5 grams sodium, 39.7 grams of chromium, and 42.8 grams of oxygen. So in order to know the empirical formula for this substance, we need to convert this into amount of mole. The amount of mole of sodium is going to be equal to 17.5 grams divided by atomic weight of sodium, which is 22.9898 grams per mole. The amount of mole of chromium would be equal to 39.7 grams divided by atomic weight of chromium, which is, let me look it up, 51.9961 grams per mole. And finally, the amount of mole of oxygen, which is going to be 42.8 grams divided by 15.99 grams per mole. So the result for each of them is going to be, first of all, for sodium, 17.5 over 22.998, we're going to have 0.76. For chromium, we're going to have 0.76 as well. And finally, for oxygen, we're going to get 2.67. So now, to know the empirical formula, we're going to divide each of them by the lowest amount. So the ratio is going to be dividing by 0.76, divided by 0.76, and dividing by 0.76. The result of that division is going to give us 1 atom of sodium, 1 of chromium, and 2.67 over 0.76, which is 3.5. Since we know that we cannot have a fraction of an atom, Then the formula, we need to multiply the value by 2. So we're going to get of sodium 2 atoms, of chromium 2 atoms, and of oxygen 7 atoms. So the compound that we have is sodium dichromate. This is going to be the empirical formula for this substance. So with that, it would be all. Thank you very much and have a good one.